All right, let's get into this week's Friday feedback. Great to be back in the studio. We start with, occasionally we get these run on sentences that are so whacked out that they are something almost otherworldly. And we got one from Linda, of course, Linda emailing. This is available to everybody, info@davidpakman.com. Sadly, folks like Linda sometimes take advantage of it. And here's what Linda had to say. Here we go. Never ever do I send messages to people I don't know, but I had to send a message to whoever David Pakman is. And the reason for that is I just wanted to let him know that when you're trying to make a point on your stupid show, you should probably know what you're talking about instead of saying, I don't know something or another. You seem to say that a lot. So you should probably get your facts straight before you start talking. So why don't you put your little camera on pause, go get some knowledge, and then come back and present yourself as someone knowledgeable in what you're trying to say instead of just smacking your gums. You're a joke. You have no credibility. And the fact that I sent this to me means a lot because I've never seen anyone. I don't know anything. Like I said, you are pathetic. You are not intelligent. And all you do is just ramble on about nonsense and have a little facts that back your bullshit that spits out of your mouth. You're a joke. Sent from my iPad. There you go. Congratulations, Linda. Thank you very much. Hall of Fame stuff, no matter which way you slice and dice it. All right, more seriously, a user on Reddit who goes by MS and Dems says, how are Democrats so terrible at politics? They push, vote for, and sign the TikTok ban, and then at the last second try to backpedal and hand it to Trump as an easy victory, and wait for him to continue adding Gen Z support. It's just blatant incompetence from people whose entire brand is that they are smarter than everyone else. I apologize if I wasn't clear. I'm not even talking about the decision to ban TikTok or not, though I disagree with it. I am talking about handing Trump an easy political win by getting to be the one that saves it. Yeah, I mean, listen, the TikTok thing was, of course, not well handled, but there is a bigger point here, and I don't know whether some of the responses to this person were that they were acting in bad faith. Let's assume they're acting in good faith. Democrats have been pretty bad at politics for a while. I mean, Obama winning, aside from your personal feelings about what he represented, what he ran on, what he did, it was very good politics from the people that Obama surrounded himself with. And he is a highly skilled politician. It is, of course, more difficult to look at the more prominent Democrats today and say that they are both highly skilled politicians with extremely talented teams around them. There isn't a lot of that right now. There's a good bench, I believe. I've named a bunch of the people that have the potential to make significant progress and rack up some achievements if they're able to kind of break to the next level. We've talked about that. But to a degree, yeah, Democrats have not been functionally great at politics for a while. They did not really know how to run against Trump, even down ballot to a great degree this time around. And listen, it's an opportunity to reset. I'm going to be talking about this soon with different people on the show. Let's see what happens. But a lot of what that person said, good faith or not, is accurate. Jesse V7H says, next week, Trump announces an intention to impose tariffs on chickens unless they agree to lay more eggs. Yeah, I think that this is sort of astutely getting at the impotence of Trump, both through lack of understanding of how a lot of these economic tools function and a desire to appear powerful even when he can't and doesn't control everything. I think there's a lot here that's accurately kind of being poked fun at by Jesse. What I am more curious to see, I mean, listen, we have 100 years of data of what happens when countries impose tariffs, depending on what the tariffs are and depending on the kind of macroeconomic environment into which those tariffs are placed. So if ultimately Trump does get back to the trade war, the trade war is on, it's off, it's being suspended, all this different stuff. Who the hell knows? But if Trump does eventually do the tariffs as described, and they have the effect that every economist says that they will have, then we will be in the position of having to say, okay, how does he justify it? And do his followers fall for it? Don't know what the answer to that is going to be. Schlee LX says, anyone who heard mass deportations and tariffs and thought that would reduce the cost of living have no idea how America works. It's not no idea how America works. It's no idea how just basic economics works. Just think for a second. If you have a supply chain with an associated cost and you add an import tax, that's just an additional cost by the time we get to the consumer buying the thing. If you add that tariff, there will be a more expensive price at the end. Now, you can argue it's going to be worth it because over the medium to long term, we will bring some of these supply chains back home and then we'll be buying American. You can argue that. It's still going to be more expensive. And in the immediate, it's just going to be more expensive without the benefit of buying American. But that's the way it works. Similarly, mass deportations. If you dramatically reduce a labor force, what tends to happen? The cost for the labor goes up. And I feel almost silly explaining this stuff because I'm like, am I insulting people in the audience because this is so obvious? If you just crush the labor pool in agriculture and in these different industries that depend significantly on both documented and undocumented immigrant labor, of course prices are going to go up. What do you expect? It's wild, wild stuff. Stephen Ludlam wrote in about the way Trump stands hinging forward and says, a leaning forward posture, often referred to as a stoop or Louis lean, can be a sign of dementia, particularly in cases of dementia with Lewy bodies, where postural instability and a tendency to lean forward are common symptoms. This is because DLB can affect muscle control and balance, leading to changes in posture. Yeah, we've talked about this many times. Trump does a really weird thing. I don't know if I can really do it, where he stands and he's just very noticeably leaning forward. Now, there is a benign explanation for this, which is Trump, when we ask ourselves, why does Trump insist he's 6'3", yet he doesn't seem to be? Trump seems to lie about his height and sometimes seems to be wearing lifts in his shoes. A heel lift could make it so that you stand in this particular way, sort of to avoid having to bend your knees. The heel lifts, imagine that you're standing stiff as a board and I just lean you forward and put a little shim underneath your heels. You could see how your whole body would tilt forward, or you'd have to kind of lean back. That could be the explanation, but certainly Stephen is not the first to notice Donald Trump's very strange forward lean. D10 CL3TIA, okay, it stands for something. Might be a hot take, but I genuinely hope the economy crashes under Trump. I don't say that out of spite or hatred for Trump supporters, though it's hard to resist with some of those man children, but out of a genuine belief that it would be good for the country. If Trump has a good economy, it's much easier for him to get away with an authoritarian takeover. It's clear at this point that Americans care more about their perception of the economy than the state of democracy. If Trump tries an authoritarian takeover when the economy is bad, then maybe, just maybe, the average voter will say, well, maybe fascism is actually bad. Yeah, I think I understand the idea, which is if the economy is a disaster and Trump attempts some authoritarian takeover, a lot of people would say, we're not going to allow the guy who crashed the economy to get away with this. On the other hand, if the economy is good, maybe Trump would be able to say, look at my economy, this beautiful economy. Now I'm going to do other stuff and just trust me. I made the economy good and this is all going to be fine. I think that it's a plausible hypothesis, except with a bad economy, Trump will simply say, it's bad not because of me, but because of how they blocked me from doing what I wanted to do. We need my authoritarian takeover so that I can actually do the stuff I want to do, and then the economy will be great. He'll pull that anyway. And then the question is, do the followers accept it or don't they? I don't know. But I don't think it's as open and shut as if the economy's bad, the people won't let Trump get away with it. I think there's a risk either way. Apathy Divine says, David, any exciting interviews coming up? AOC had a 1-hour interview with Jon Stewart. Bernie had a 40-minute interview with Hassan. TYT interviewed Sean O'Brien. Will any of these people be on the David Pakman show? They're welcome. AOC and Bernie Sanders are welcome anytime. We've invited them before. They've not accepted. I would be surprised if an interview with Sean O'Brien on this show would do well. I'm interested to hearing from people. I'm open to the possibility that it would. But, we've invited AOC, we've invited Bernie, and thus far they have not accepted the invitations. But I would love to have them on. They are welcome absolutely anytime. Cultal Aiders says on Facebook, you cultist followers doesn't even care about eggs. Eggs are healthy. Most or all of your followers or your cult members are not healthy. Your cultist followers only buys cupcakes and ice cream. Also, your followers goes to the strip club to support their family members working. Very sick individual. Very, very sick. And I don't know why they believe that David Pakman show viewers or listeners don't eat eggs. Eggs in reasonable quantity are completely reasonable part of a healthy diet. Very high in protein and number of other elements unique to eggs. Choline, I don't know how it's pronounced. Anyway, there's a lot of really whacked out people there. If you are not one of those people, feel free to email info@davidpakman.com. Maybe your email will be featured on next week's Friday feedback. Also, we've got a great bonus show for you today. Feel free to sign up at joinpakman.com to get instant access. And finally, get yourself a signed copy of my forthcoming book, The Echo Machine, available exclusively through Brookline Booksmith at davidpakman.com/booksmith. Let me know if you picked up one of those signed copies. I'll be going up to Boston to sign those very soon. Get those orders in. Book is out on March 25th. See you on the bonus show. See you on Monday. Well, I wrote a book after a long journey and a ton of work. I am really thrilled with how it turned out, and I hope you'll read it. The book is called The Echo Machine. And in a nutshell, it looks at how American politics got so broken, who has already figured out solutions, and how we can try to fix it and stop the terror of Trump for the next 4 years. With Trump winning this election, The Echo Machine couldn't be more relevant, not only a warning about how we got here, but also about what might be coming and how to prevent the worst outcomes. We've got to stay engaged. We need a plan, and that's what the book is about. There's a belief out there that unless you have corporate media behind you, you can't have a successful political book launch, that it's not possible. I think we can prove that wrong. Order The Echo Machine today at davidpakman.com/echo on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Audible, Kindle, anywhere that books, ebooks, and audiobooks are sold. You can also call any local bookstore and say, please order me The Echo Machine by David Pakman. Wherever you get the book, you'll get the free pre-order perks, including the signed book plate. Head to davidpakman.com/free book stuff after ordering.